Hey, good morning. Panucci here, enjoying a cup of coffee and getting down on these patch notes this morning. Just wanted to take a quick look at these with you all this morning. And happy launch day, everyone. So let's just start at the top here. Karen, available as a player character race. This was expected. Good to hear that they were able to get that done before launch. Eager to see what their starting stats are. If they are, as predicted, the same as Vashir from Luckload expansion EverQuest, but we'll see. And we did see a post right at the end of the beta that the barricades were removed in the new Sibilician expedition. Discover what lies beyond and maybe figure out what this place is. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if this is going to be some sort of callback to something that we already know. Might be kind of neat. Honestly, the inside kind of looks like Howling Stones or something, so we'll see. Okay, this is a good one. Introduce Void Touch Potential, a new token that can be earned up to 3 times per week from raid activities through Voidlings. So this is basically a parallel or similar to Moat System, I believe. I'm eager to try it out. I don't know exactly how it works, but it does sound like this is something that is going to do two things. It's going to make it a little bit easier to level your gear up and get closer to level 10, and then more importantly, give you an excuse to keep playing with your friends throughout the week, even when your lockouts may not be ready to go. Auto attack will no longer persist if your target's death causes their own pet to subsequently despawn. Sounds like a minor bug fix. That sounds good. Fix the NPC spellcasting logic so it respects spell reuse and recovery times and prioritize damage over harmful spells. Okay, so I think this one is going to be pretty big for Wizard and Necromancer NPCs. If you played the beta, you know that they just basically spammed root, so they were really easy. Now they're actually going to be dangerous and difficult, so that's kind of cool, but a little scary. We'll see how the balance feels after that. It would be kind of funny, like you're killing the Afridi Lord in Soul B, and he just spams Immobilize on you. Whereas if you kill Afridi Lord in like P99 or even on a TLP, he's spamming Ice Comet. So big difference. Stun players now receive a short-term immunity from additional stuns that last beyond the duration of current stun. Okay, so this was in response to a lot of people complaining about getting chain stun or stun locked out of encounters. But this is a double-edged sword. It looks like this will prevent chain stunning. However, players beware. NPCs have also learned the basics of this skill, so that's going to be interesting. I usually play with my wife. And she plays an enchanter and I play a cleric, so we do kind of tend to chain stun caster NPCs so they don't heal themselves, so we'll see how that goes. Loss of player control spells such as NPC Charmer now capped at 30-second duration. Sounds good. I did learn through YouTube comments, and thank you everybody that commented, that people in single player instances weren't getting feared. That does make sense, but I actually didn't know about that because I didn't play very much single player at all during the beta. I usually played with my wife or some guildies. Improved casting behavior of multi-class bars to prevent stuck states between songs and casting spells. Interesting. This is cool. I actually I didn't play around. I played Bard during the beta, but I didn't play around with casting too many Bard songs because I kept getting hit by this, and I wasn't sure exactly how to skirt it. So I mostly just stuck to my cleric spells. But this sounds good for bards that are going to be a bit better at it than I was. All right, here's some juicy stuff. I think we saw this in the Discord if you're paying attention, but let's go over it anyway. Added the Unbound Alacrity AA autograd for Monk. Increased haste and increased current and maximum haste value. So I wonder, I'm reading this like a Monk max haste will be up to 210 at max level. So that's really cool. I'm surprised to see that they buffed Monk. I didn't get too into parsing damage during beta, but I know a lot of people had Monk in their build and they were completing D4 content solo, and I saw a lot of meta builds from streamers and YouTubers online that were using Monk in their build. We all know that the Plane of Sky Monk Fist is just absurd. A build that I saw a lot was Paladin, Monk, and Enchanter. So it's interesting to me that they buffed Monk. The funny thing here to me is everybody was complaining that Ranger sucks. And they did say in the Discord, hey, Ranger actually doesn't suck. They're parsing pretty well. Have a second look. So I'm planning on playing Ranger, and I'm curious to see how it goes. Anyway, Unbound Life AA for Paladin, increased to direct healing spells. That sounds good. It sounds like that Paladin Monk Enchanter combo is going to be a bit stronger now, which is cool. Unbound Ferocity for Beast Lord. 9% chance for your pet to flurry. I think this is excellent. Beast Lords need some help. I always play Beast Lord from 1 to 10, but I don't have any experience playing Beast Lord beyond that. But I have seen some people in the Discord and elsewhere in the community talk about how Beast Lords are a little underpowered and they need to be they need some buffs. So I like seeing the needle moving in the right direction there. New auto-granted Unbound Versatility for Bard, 5, 10, 15% chance for you to continue casting through a stun. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Shadow Knight, Unbound Drain AA, 6% increase in damage for life tap spells. That's really cool. I see some Shadow Knights playing Shadow Knight Necromancer actually, so they have access to the heavier Necromancer life tap spells. So I think that's gonna synergize with that really well. And then Unbound Lethality for Rogue, bonus duration of poisons, and lowers resist value of poisons by a lot actually. So that's pretty cool. I did play Rogue a little bit. The poisons felt fine, and I was just happy to see that there was so much variety in the poisons that you had at such a low level. And I don't know what level this first rank kicks in. We'll find out later today. But yeah, sounds cool. And then finally, Trickster Misdirection AA for Enchanters. This is similar, or maybe the exact same, as I want to say Gates of Discord era AA that Enchanters have, where basically you create a copy of yourself. Let's see, defensive proc, 1 charge. Okay, so it is a little different. In regular EverQuest, you just cast it and it blinks you back and it puts a clone, and that clone takes the damage. But the Simulacrum, yeah, here it is. Okay, and the player is teleported backwards out of harm's way. This is kind of interesting. Like this, like I said, I play a lot with my wife, and she plays an Enchanter. She plays SK Enchanter. SK Enchanter. What's the last? Berserker. Yeah, of course. And she tanks for us. So being able to pop back and have the Simulacrum tank for you for a while sounds pretty cool. So I'm excited to play with this and see how much fun it is. Ranks 9 and 10 of Harm Touch will add a damage over time effect to the target. Sounds great. Leash Touch A, now passive ability. Also sounds great. Sounds, really happy to see those. I'm surprised to see how many people think that Shadow Knights need a little bit of a tune-up. The Shadow Knight felt fine to me. Shadow Knight felt good to me. But, I didn't get as deep into the high difficulty stuff as some other people did during the beta. So I think my opinion is more limited. Flesh to Bone will drop bone chips that you can use for summoning spells. Sure, sounds fine. Activating skills Cleave or Frenzy will reduce the cooldown time of Rampage AA. This is really interesting. Rampage AA is AA. If it's like the TOP, it's just a omnidirectional damage hit to stuff as a warrior. So it's kind of cool that Cleave and Frenzy will reduce the cooldown time of that. That sounds good to me. I have heard that warriors need a little help, but I'm not so sure if that's accurate. We'll see. I think the dust is going to settle on a lot of these questions in the next week or two here. Improved Bash AA can now utilize the best item weapon to show from the primary, secondary, or any slots. Okay, this is cool. If no valid item is any of those slots, it'll still activate for minimal damage, but with the interrupt potential. This kind of sounds like Slam to me. And Quick Buff knocks clues low pacify spells. Sure, that sounds fine. That sounds like you're just kind of cleaning house on some minor bugs. Alternate ability timer should no longer have collisions such as Cannibalize, Triggering, Harm Touch, or vice versa. I don't know exactly how this worked because I never played I never played Shadow Knight Shaman, but I did hear I did hear of a few bugs regarding Cannibalize, and this is one of them. Another bug I heard of was Cannibalize could actually crit hurt yourself. So I'm kind of curious if that's true. Froglocks now use classic appropriate sounds. That's good. Anybody that plays a Froglock should create a macro that says, Frog, you ruined your own lens, you won't ruin mine. All right, page 2 of 3. Let's scroll to the top here. All right, gameplay. Remove placeholders. Okay, this is a big one. Remove placeholders and lower maximum respawn time in several dungeons. the whole Nagafin's Lair, Lower Guck, notably not Upper Guck, Lair Splitpaw, the Warrens, and Castle Mistmore. So this is a big deal. I think, especially for Nagafin's Lair, Soul B, the Jarn's Amethyst Ring is one of the, if not the best item that comes out of Soul B. And if you played the beta, you know that farming this can be a little bit of a pain in the butt because getting the Afridi to spawn was rare by itself, and the ring is a rare drop. So I think when I farmed my first ring, it was funny, like I spent ages farming my first ring, and then the 2 rings I farmed after that and the ring for my wife, we ended up getting like back to back to back. So it was kind of a funky distribution of luck there, but I did spend a lot of time in Nagafin's Lair looking for the ring for the first one to drop. We got several pairs of Jeebs, Golden Afridi boots, but the ring. Lower Guck is fine. You know, I think a lot of people are going to be going for the Mithril 2-handed sword that the Froglock King drops, the 31% haste sword. Excellent weapon. Splitpaw, that's fine. You know, I farmed a bit in Splitpaw during the beta, and there were some good items in there, actually. There's a bracer, there's some arms, and if you don't feel like going the running eye to get the Black and Alloy Bastard Sword, there's a 2-handed axe that drops on the execution that's also pretty good. So I think getting rid of the placeholders in Splitpaw is really going to speed that up, which is good. I don't know enough about the Warrens to really comment on that, nor do I know enough about Castle Mistmore. I know there's like the Hooded Black Cloak from the Cloak Dampier that's pretty good, so maybe it'll be worth the trip going out there and popping a D4 just to get a Hooded Black Cloak, but yeah, that sounds fine. Honestly, like, that sounds fun, and especially if you're feeling nostalgic and you didn't hit Mistmore in a TLP recently or in the beta, that sounds cool. But what a lot of people I hear are doing is they're just gonna jet all the way to 40 to mid 40s and start popping Nagafins each day and trying to spike a Cloak of Flames, which is obviously going to replace a Hooded Black Cloak if you see it. I'm sure there's plenty of other good items there that I'm forgetting right now, but that sounds good. I am curious. I wonder if the Butler and the Maid for the Fangs for the Ranger quests are going to be more common, and it's going to be easier to do that quest. That would be a big up, actually, because I think one of the biggest problems with Rangers right now is a lot of their in-game bows are from quests and or extremely rare spawns like the bow from the Hull. And if it made it a lot easier to do the True Shot Longbow and Raincaller, I think it's called Raincaller quest, maybe folks would be interested in doing those quests multiple times to level the bow up. I don't know. I mean, it still sounds really tedious, but we'll see. All right, rare monsters and Crushbow flag is rare. Sounds fine. These orcs will spawn more often with reduced spawn times. That sounds great. Chokehold is now susceptible to melee attacks. Nice. Welcome to the game, Chokehold. Reduce the kicking vigor of low-level NPC monks. That's funny. I never noticed that myself, but I'm sure people that were running parsers saw that anomalous data. Players no longer receive emotes while at the class lock cap. Okay, so what I think this means, I think this is another big one, but it's only a big one if you're kind of exploiting a little bit. So I think the TLDR of this is while you're waiting to lock in your primary at level 11, and you're not gaining XP on your comp anymore, you're no longer getting emotes. And I think what people are doing is popping like low-level dungeons, like let's say a low-level like D4 Befallen as a level 10.999, and they're inviting like their level 50 buddy, and the level 50 buddy would just run around and just truck the zone, basically AoE it, and the low-level person would just scoop up a ton of motes. So I think that they closed that loophole. And it's basically these two bullets here. Players no longer receive motes while at the class lock cap, and motes will no longer drop for players unless they're eligible to gain EXP from the kill. So that's really closing that loophole there. I don't think that this is going to be a functional change for people that are just playing the game normally, but I think for people that are looking for a way to farm motes quickly and maybe arguably illegitimately, this is going to make it a bit more difficult. All races are now eligible to equip items, such as for charm pets. So this is fine. This is just kind of making everything equipable by everyone, and that's important for charm pets because charm pets kind of look to their masters to determine what they're allowed to equip and what they're not. In some cases, one of the bees in Plain of Sky should no longer become a murder bee upon being charmed. There's Yeah, there's a bee boss. Is that the 6th island, I think? And and they're badasses. So I guess there was a bug with charming them. I don't know if it actually didn't charm the bees. I've charmed the bees sometimes in TLPs, but I don't think I've charmed the bees or I haven't charmed the bees in the beta. But I'm kind of curious, does this mean, and maybe you can let me know in the comments, does this mean that when you charm the bee, it's just this gigapet that just goes to town? Because it kind of is in TLPs. Or does this mean that you charm the pet, it breaks, and it just goes to town on you and kills you and all your friends? Guildmaster should no longer point to new characters towards NPCs that don't exist, to complete quests that don't exist. I actually ran into this bug. I made a dwarf warrior cleric one day, and I ran into this bug. I actually ran into a couple of bugs with the initial GMs. So that's great. I think it is really important to fix confusing bugs at the beginning of the game, because these are going to be your new players. These are going to be people that haven't played EverQuest in a long time. These are going to be friends of people that play EverQuest. Like, I have a couple of friends myself that I'm trying to convince to play, and one of them actually pre-ordered and played the beta and ran into a bug and just turned it off. He's like, I didn't really know where to go, and I talked to the guy, and it basically is like, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just kind of got frustrated and quit, which is valid, So I think fixing these bugs and prioritizing fixing these bugs faster and earlier is really important for adoption. All right, instances. All methods of quitting an instance will now cause you to leave the zone. That's great. I did always feel like piecing out on an instance was a little bit clunky. Sometimes my friends would leave and they're like, are you coming? I'm like, I'm still trying to quit the instance. I'm still trying to get kicked out. So it was a little rocky. So I'm glad they cleaned that up. Okay, this is another big one. Killing a raid boss while you have a loot lockout will now give 1 guaranteed drop from that boss's unique treasure tables, along with possible drops from a standard loot pool. So basically, I think the way it works is weekly you can kill Nagafin and get the full drops that you would get from killing Nagafin, and then daily you can go back and kill Nagafin again and again, and you'll get 1 item from that boss's loot table. So the benefits of this are pretty obvious. The main benefits of this are pretty obvious, but something a little more subtle that's happening here that I really, really, really love with this change is it gives you a reason to keep playing with your friends. Your buddy gets on and he's like, hey, I want to do like a D3 Nagafin, anybody around? And then everybody's like, oh, I've already got the lockout, I'm not coming. You know what I mean? And it's going to cut down on that tremendously. It's not going to kill it completely because people still have the daily lockouts, but I think anything that Game John can be doing to make it easy for me to get online, gather a posse, and go do something regardless of how the timing works out with what everybody else has been doing in their free time, and just makes it easier for us to get together and have fun together is excellent. And I think that this is moving the needle in the right direction in a really great way. All right, nerf alert here. Big one. Shield of the Immaculate now requires being equipped to use the activated effect and has a 6-second recast time. This is Shield of the Immaculate is one of, if not the best item in the game. And a big reason why it was excellent is you can just have it in your inventory and you can click slows off of yourself. I actually didn't get a Shield of the Immaculate in the beta, even though I tried to farm it. But what I'm guessing here is with the kind of implied healing, you can not even target yourself to remove your slow. You just keep targeting the monster that's attacking you, and you can quickly remove the slow. And you could just click it super, super, super fast. It would generate threat, there's ways to exploit Shield of the Immaculate and being able to click it super fast and generate threat with it. So I think this is a good nerf. I was looking forward to playing with the Shield of the Immaculate because it's so fun, but even with this nerf, I still think it's going to be one of the better items in the game, so that probably means that the nerf was warranted. Okay, Head Splitter Axe no longer sillily usable by monks, rogues, or beast lords. Sounds good. These are always funny to me because I don't think that these classes have the weapon skill to even use these, so they're always attacking at 1 or maybe even 0 weapon skill, which means that they're hitting almost never. This is one that I'm actually kind of curious about. If you watch my video on the items to pick up when you start, Slave Trammels is one that I'm looking forward to picking up right away. What does this mean? Now properly reflect being leg irons. So I've heard a couple of theories. The theory that I thought when I first read this was that instead of a foot item, it's a leg item, and it's like pants. And if that's the case, then that doesn't change very much. The main thing here is, I guess, you tend to get more AC from your pants items, so it having 20 AC out of the box is less of like a big deal, but you're still gonna pick up 3. You're still gonna put them in your any slot. So, you know, if that's the case, then yeah, I guess it's a minor nerf, no big deal. And then a couple of other theories kind of reflect around are reflecting this comment that being leg irons, what does that mean? You know, is it leg irons? You know, you're thinking about slaves and wearing these around your legs, and you know, they're really designed to slow the slaves down so they can't run away and stuff. So, you know, like one guy was like, does it reduce your movement speed? Doubtful, because that seems like a programming challenge. But another theory that I really liked is maybe they just cranked up the weight of these, you know, and I could definitely see them doing that. But if they do that, I think that's just an implicit buff to ogres, you know, like, you know, if you've been watching my channel, you know, I'm big on the ogre train, and ogres are already the best race in the game. So increasing the weight of these is basically just a nerf to all the wood elves that are going to be out there trying to farm these. Spiky Splintmail, another item that I featured in my video, now has a worn graphic, and the clicky has been shifted to Bramblecoat. This is actually a buff right here, because before, the clicky would not stack with like a druid damage shield, but Bramblecoat is a different line. So Bramblecoat is the self-only druid and ranger AC buff that has a relatively small damage shield on it, and it does stack with your normal, you know, like Shield of Thistles line of damage shields. So moving it to Bramblecoat is kind of interesting because it eliminates that conflict, and it also probably has a small AC buff. So that sounds good. That might be a buff for Spiky Splintmail. Ornamentation slots added to new model visible items from Crushbone. Cool. Several Crushbone items have received worn graphics. That's fine. Ribbone Stiletto graphics have been updated. Cool. All right, sounds good. Let's keep going. I'm gonna scroll all the way to the bottom here. Spells, improve Beast Lord Warder mana regeneration values. That's pretty good. The Beast Lord Warders are always casting spells, and they can heal themselves and stuff. So getting more mana regeneration on those guys sounds good to me. Pets can now be summoned with permanent illusion using illusion items and activated item storage. Cool. That sounds good. I'm not playing a pet class, but my wife is, and she likes illusions, so she's gonna be happy to see that. Upgraded pet spell level base damage bonus now applies to some pet skill attacks and will more reliably increase base melee damage. I'm gonna read this twice. Upgraded pet spell level base damage bonus now applies to some pet skill attacks. Oh, okay. So I think this means, like, if your pet has a class that has like combat skills, like bash, maybe those get buffed and more reliably increase base melee damage. So I don't know exactly how this works. I am eager, if you know, or if you have ideas, let me know in the comments. But it sounds like a good thing. I don't really know how much of a good thing it is, but I guess we'll see. The shaman spells Tortoise's healing, Slug's healing, and Snail's healing are all now tied to the correct spell scroll. Okay, that sounds good. I actually didn't play shaman very much at all in the beta, but I did play druid, and druid's got a new line of heal over time spells. I'm guessing by these names, Tortoises and Slugs, you know, these are animals that are known for being slow, so I'm guessing that these are heal over time spells as well. But tied to the correct spell scroll. Sounds like a nice bug to fix. Familiars will no longer show pet statistics. I don't really know what this means. Wizards are I think familiars of the wizard. They're kind of like buffs more than they are pets, and maybe that's why they removed this. Trade skills disable the remaining throwable concoctions made by alchemy. Okay, so I guess this is something, I actually don't know anything about throwable concoctions, but maybe this is something that they just cut out of the game, but they missed some, so they're doing a little house cleaning. All right, UI scaling and text filtering have both been added to the options window. Text filtering can change the way text appears on the screen, making it sharper or a little more blurry depending on the settings you prefer. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna play around with this for sure. I like good readability. I like to strike the balance between good readability and what I think is aesthetically pleasing. Updated the help options in game to remove incorrect information and remove the out-of-date tips. Okay, so I actually saw a lot of this in my video about the attributes. I'm 99% sure that EQ Legends is built on a cut of live EverQuest, and they made a lot of modifications to it and a lot of improvements to it, which I think are excellent. But anybody that's played TOPs in the last 5 or 10 years knows that a lot of the tooltips in EverQuest Live client are super out of date. They just say stuff that's completely false. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but sometimes they even reference mechanics or statistics that don't even exist in the game anymore. So when people are like, oh, like, for example, Dex increases my hit, it says so on the tooltip, it's hard to argue with that. And it's like, you just have to believe me when I tell you that tooltip is probably just one of the tooltips that's out of date. So it sounds like they are doing a cleanup of that. I think that's really going to add a lot of polish to the game. And again, back to my theme about new players, I think improving tooltips and getting those out-of-date tips out of the client are really going to help adoption and cut down on the amount of confusion that new players are going to face when playing this game. Something that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, but I feel like EverQuest is a very esoteric game, and I don't want it to be dumbed down to the point of like some of the more modern MMOs. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to yuck your yum if I accidentally say a game that you love, because all the games have their merits. But, sometimes things for modern games are dumbed down or simplified to the point where they're not very interesting. And I think being overly esoteric is the other side of that spectrum. I think that we could stand to move the needle a little bit in the other direction, away from being so esoteric. But I think being a little bit cryptic also adds a little bit of charm to the game and a little bit of fun, and a little bit of friendly debate, or not so friendly debate if you caught some of the comments on my last videos. So I overall think it's good, but I am eager to see how far they go with it in the future. All right, tend to the pet inventory slots, border red if you have an active pet and the item is not equipable due to a class or level. Okay, that's great. That's great. I think it's going to improve usability for the pet inventory feature, which is new for EverQuest Legends. Window size no longer saved if the window is in the minimalized state, allowing you to restore properly on next game open. That I think is good. This gives the user the ability to recover. I think it's Nielsen's usability heuristics kind of pushes this idea that systems should be easy to recover for users. And it is a pain in the butt to have to log out and log back into the game. But overall, I think being able to find something you've lost quickly by just logging out and logging back in is excellent. And auto add hater targets have been changed to auto add hate targets. That sounds fine, but I loved how the extended target window said hater. I think hater is so funny. Hater is such a 2000s Chappelle Show era sort of at least for the audience that fits my demographic. It's just such a funny word. So I get why they changed it, but I did like it the way it was before. It was charming. All right, and then the final section is regarding the Kerra Isle. Kerra Isle has been redesigned as a home for new Karen characters in Noras. So Kerra Isle is a section, I want to say, I actually don't know the classic version of Toxulia Forest very well, but on TLPs, I think Kerra Isle was on the east side of the zone. You take a small boat over, and I would actually power level there because there was just a ton of Karen mobs, but it looks like it's been redesigned as the Karen City, which is great. Guildmaster, Spell Merchants, Banker, yada yada. I think that's great. Chances are, if you're on that side of the world, you'll probably get better Spell Merchants there than you would anywhere else if Kerra Isle is anything like the New Sibilician Expedition, where they just have all the merchants. Let's see, and a number of friendly felines with quests to complete. I did see further up in the patch notes they were talking about how the Karen, the Karen racial unlock quest or achievement can be achieved by exploring Karen Isle. So I am going to be eager to see when the guide comes out on that. I probably won't prioritize unlocking Karen as a secondary or tertiary race anytime soon, but maybe in the future, especially if they have great statistics. Let's see, receive a node, traded directly to your guildmaster, okay, this is kind of standard stuff. Don't forget to hail your guildmaster afterwards. They'll provide an important task for you to achieve on the Isle. That sounds good. Quests on Kerra Isle have been altered to take place on the continent of Otis, including Kerra Isle itself, as well as Tox. Okay, that sounds great. I think actually adding more races to Otis is great. The first thing is adding the translocator in Freeport from Freeport to Kinos docks so that you can quickly jump across to Tox or to Iridan is fantastic, because Otis has always kind of been off the beaten path. So that does definitely make the world smaller, but in a good way, I think. I think like this, you know, the equivalent in some ways is like Fadeaware, right? Where, you know, all of some of the most popular races in the game spawn, and I think that I think Otis is bringing. It's a bit smaller, but it's bringing a lot of the good stuff to the table, just like Fadeaware is. But there's just not nearly as many races that spawn there. Before there was one, and now there's two. Kind of three if you consider the evil Erudites and the good Erudites to be two different ones, which I kind of do. But overall, I think this is going to be great for making the game more fun to hop around in. Some familiar quest rewards have been updated to fit the level range of a new area designed for EverQuest Legends. Interesting. I'm eager to see what this means. And the new quests are also built using the task system for easy task tracking of your progress. Okay, so the task system is, so if you've done like quests in P99 and Classic EverQuest, you know, you kind of just have to keep track of the stuff for yourself, you know. But what I'm trying to think what era tasks came out in. Was it Depths of Dark Hollow? I'm trying to remember like what era in TLPs you start actually using tasks, or like the Anniversary Tower. If you played like on Teak during the Anniversary Tower, that used a task system as well. So they're gonna be using a task window for easy tracking the progress. That's pretty good. It's definitely more modern, but that task UI definitely had its problems too. So that might be a little clunky, but Game John has been doing a good job of unclunkifying some of these finer points. So I think overall it's a good move, and I bet they're going to add some polish to it going forward. Non-Karen visitors non-Karen visitors to the region should also consider hailing the Guildmaster to receive a task for achievement. Oh, okay. So that's how you get it started. I actually never completed one of these properly. I always just went to Alana's guide that I called out on the Ogre video to show me what to do. I always use guides. I rarely actually do the quest the legit way. So that's cool. I like this. Alt plus Q. Yeah, so I think that's it. All right, it's about 9:55 a.m. Central Time, so we've got, what is that, 4 hours until launch. I've got some moving to do because I got some contractors coming to the house today to replace some carpeting, but I'm hoping to get at least one more video dropped before launch day today. But otherwise, yeah, have fun today, have fun, and I'll see you for the next one. Thanks, guys.